Hey, folks, welcome back to Good News York. It's still April, or it is April, and it's still cold.
Still cold.
And I don't understand that, but there's no good news in that other than it should be ending soon.
Look.
And it gives me an excuse to wear my new hoodie.
Yeah.
So I'm a hoodie connoisseur, so I guess I don't necessarily hate that.
Yeah, being a weatherman's like the only job you can keep and be wrong all the time. They're
It's
like,
a great
low
gig.
of 45 and a high of 97. But it's, what do I wear? Anyway, enough about that. I'm Mike Brindisi. This is Matt Mazer.
What's
And
up?
Next to me, back. Is our first repeat guest?
I think he is
First ever repeat guest.
Our returning
Brian Enck,
champion.
Comedian
Because
extraordinaire.
I kept knocking on the door. Please let me back in.
He did. It was. He's like a cat. We fed him once, and now it's just that he's waiting here every morning. And I love you, and I'm so glad you're here. You've got you're shooting a special
11 days.
in 11 days,
Wow.
April 12th at the McCarthy Mercantile building in downtown Syracuse. In the name of the special, Letters Are Hard. You've got to come to this. I'm obviously going to be there. 2 shows, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. I love that you're doing that. Let's jump right in. Why are you doing that?
Why am I doing 2 shows?
Yeah. I know, but I'm going to pretend I don't know.
Most tapings, they usually will do 4 shows, actually, or even more. I think Tom Segura said that he did 8. And really what it comes down to is you want to get it on the right take. And sometimes something will happen, something will come up. Audiences now definitely are, and God bless them, I don't particularly hate it, is there's a lot more crowd work in stand-up and stuff like that. So I think that they're expecting sometimes a bit more engagement, and specials usually, unless it's a crowd work special, is about the material.
Yeah.
So, you want to get in a good take. Things can go wrong. Things can happen. So we're doing 2 just to be safe. My last half hour, I had to cut out 2 jokes that I really liked just because I fumbled over one, and then the other time I had that crowd work engagement. And so just having 2 to be able to try it once. Maybe I'll get again, back to Tom Segura. I think out of the 8, he said he got it on the second one, and then the rest he could just have fun with. That's why
just
you do 2.
It's so smart. It gives you more to work with. Everybody wins, because if you can't get into the first show, you can get into the second show and vice versa. Have you ever gone the route? I feel like this would be a chance, a leap of faith, but I feel like it could happen. Have you ever done it to where you're like, you know what, at 7 p.m., I'm going to tell this joke with this punchline, but I also like this punchline for it, so I'll try that in the 9 o'clock show. Are you doing that at all?
I've done that with not shows that I'd be recording, but I've done that on shows. There was a club in Times Square called LOL, and they had 3 rooms that they would fill with like 100 people. It was crazy that they were able to get it. And you'd have 6 comics just run. It was like Scooby-Doo when they go through the doors and stuff like that. So you'd get off stage, someone would open the door to the next room, and you'd run in to be able to get on stage. And so sometimes you could definitely be like, okay, I'm going to try this punchline here. That's awesome. But then it also became like a cloud of comedy where I'd be looking at a crowd and I'd be like, did I do this joke yet for you guys? I literally just did it. Yeah. I've done that before. I love toying around with different punchlines, and it's been really fun working. Like, I've jumped on every show that I can and every mic, and so it's fun working with a lot of the comics in the scene, like a lot of new comics, and just talking about punchlines and what if you did it this way? Have you thought about that? And so it's really fun. I love that process and that part of it. So,
Me too. I remember when I was, I did comedy. I don't know why I can't speak today, man. I'm like 5 strokes already on the air. You know what? Sorry, Brian. Deep breath. So I've had moments where in music and in comedy, but I've always felt like when I wrote a song, I was never satisfied because I thought there's fucking 80,000 more melodies I could have came up with, and what if the one I'm sticking with is not the one that is the best melody for this? And in jokes, I feel like I go through that sometimes too, where I'm like, the setup could be better. It's all part of the process, but it just drives you crazy sometimes. Do you find that?
Yeah. And I worked in TV for a while as a producer, and when you're on the other side of it and there is a time crunch, when you're the one kind of setting the deadline, it definitely helps, I think, with the process, because without it, things could always keep going. You hear about these directors who have been working on a film for 12 years and it just keeps spiraling, and it's because no one said, hey, it's got to be done by Tuesday. And so I think sometimes you just are putting it as it is. I'm always surprised that a stand-up hasn't done a retooling of some of their older material. I'm surprised that Seinfeld, I know he did a special where he did all of his old material and talked about that process, but it would have been interesting to see what 55-year-old Seinfeld would have done with this joke versus what he was doing when he was 20. So that's always interesting to me, to see if people would, because there's tons of jokes I would have gone back and done differently or punched up differently or put somewhere else.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories, I probably told this on the air, so forgive me if I have, but to your point, I was in the studio with my band when I was doing music for a while, and we were like in the 11th hour of this song, and it was the last song to go on the record. And I kept saying, let's do this. And the producer finally looked at me and he goes, see that shelf over there? And there was a shelf of CDs at the time. And every single one of those albums was recorded here. The only reason they were finished is because we either ran out of time or we ran out of money. I could still be sitting here today tweaking this song. It's like an artist with a canvas. Like you wake up, you walk by and you go, oh, okay. Yeah. You can always brush it up. And you're so right. And especially in the ADHD world, you get it. Deadlines are everything. The worst thing someone could tell you is, just get it to me whenever. Yeah. Because whenever is like the worst, for me at least.
Yeah. We talked about this last time I was on, just the scheduling and how, particularly this one, however the special turns out, I'm already happy with myself for immediately jumping into tasks, not waiting till later, scheduling it out. And that's such a big part of that process. But yeah, I think you just got to be able to say, I got to have it done by this time, and that's the best version of it.
It is. I wanted to ask you this last time, so I'm so glad you're here again. Obviously, Brian Enck recording his special, Letters Are Hard, at the McCarthy Mercantile in downtown Syracuse. April 12th, 2 shows, 7 and 9 p.m.
What day of the week is that?
Saturday.
Gotcha.
Saturday. That's
Saturday,
excellent.
Yep.
We love Saturdays. So the question I wonder about is, back in the day, the comedian never really dictated when they got the special, because it was, you worked at stand-up, you worked doing your stand-up, and hopefully one day a network would approach you and say, we want to shoot a special. Now, just like the music business, in the comedy world, in the podcast world, you just put your stuff out there and you run the show. From your point of view, as a comedian myself, I'm asking, when do you know, you know what? I think I'm at that point where I can record a special. And I know you've already recorded a special, but like, when do you know, I think I have, it's my time?
Oh, it's when you, and I did this today, it's when you go in the fridge and say, that pork shoulder is going to go bad if I don't cook it. And it's these jokes are going to go bad for me. They're going to go to a place where I'm like, I've done them so many times. And they don't have the pop anymore with the audience because they don't have the pop with me anymore. I'm not excited to do these jokes. And right now, I love these jokes, but I know in the next month or so, I'm ready to move on to other material. And so that's what it is, when you just reach that point where you're like, this is going good. Let's do it before I start getting bored with these stories. And it's also, my last special, I talked about being in a relationship it's before I met my wife. It was years before I met my wife. And it's funny to see, because I'm uploading those clips to promote the special also, I've been getting messages from people who are like, Lakshmi's not from Philadelphia. I have a joke about dating a girl from Philly, and everyone's like, your wife's not from Philly. I'm like, I know. I need to put a timestamp on this. This is from before. Yeah. And so I'm going to be reaching stages in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this joke anymore because I'm going to start talking about what it's like to be not a newlywed, but like a married guy, and a dad and that stuff. So right now, this whole thing, this whole special feels, and it's talking about a few things, but it really is newly married, being in an interracial marriage, which is super funny, and moving up to Syracuse. I talk about how different it is from New York City, and then just all these jokes feel really good to me right now, and I'm ready to leave them there and move on to the next stuff. So that's when you just like, if I don't do it now, this meat's gonna spoil.
No, that's a great metaphor and explanation for that.
What do you do with a special like this? Is this something that you now make available and have folks get from your website? Do you try to sell it to Netflix? How does this work?
There's a few ways to do it. The last one, I didn't really shop around. It was mid-pandemic. I'm sure I could have, but I just wanted it up. And I also know I'm a no-name, so I just wanted it out there. It's not like people were
You're not a no-name.
I'm somebody.
You are somebody to someone.
I think with this one, I'm going to do more of a push to work with a production company. There are so many, you hit on it, that there's so much self-produced artists right now and podcasts and music that I do that there are smaller scale production companies that are working with those, not smaller scale in a bad way. It's like shopping local versus shopping Walmart. Right. There's more local production, and it's interesting where the deals, and it's not about the deals, but it's interesting where the stuff's going. I think Hulu has a really good model right now of Bill Burr, Roy Wood Jr., what we're going to talk about later, underrated comedian. Roy Wood Jr. is the most underrated comedian living right now. But Hulu's deal is you put it on our platform, you get to put it on your YouTube channel, which is super smart for them because the Hulu stamp will be there. So you're going to bring Roy Wood Jr.'s audience into Hulu's verse. Hulu's verse is going to go to Roy Wood Jr.'s. And a lot of comics were self-producing on YouTube because they wanted to have the rights to their contract.
Sure.
And a couple production companies that I've talked with, they've had that where they're like, every year we renegotiate. If you want to try to send it somewhere else, you can, but it can live on our platform. And every year we renegotiate versus in perpetuity throughout the universe forever and all time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting place where the business side of the art is going. And I think that can only help the artist create what they authentically wanted to do. I think we'll see a lot more of stuff funded and shot by the artists and then shared with the production company.
So that's very interesting because that's what I was going to actually ask you. When I hear the words production company, I assume they are the ones who have to show up and shoot the thing and all that.
We definitely had one in particular. We had that offer for them to fund it and produce it. But in that world, it's percentages change a lot, as well as stand-up, because I think I did the first one. I know what that budget looks like. I know what that timeline looks like. So I knew I could do it myself.
Sure.
If one of the scripts I'm working on gets picked up, that's something that I would say, no, you have that. I don't know that world. I don't know how to create that. So it's what you feel like. You guys knew that you could do a podcast because you knew the nuts and bolts of it. But if I was like, hey, we're going to go into, I don't know, we're going to go into a paint installation, you'd be like, we should have someone else do that. That's not our skill set.
No, that's incredible. I've always wondered how those sorts of things worked. So I think it's neat that you're able to put these things together, but then get the opportunity to get it in these massive audiences. I mean,
you're right. It definitely was. You got big either on a late night spot or something like that, and then you worked out a deal with a place and you did your half hour, whether it was Comedy Central or HBO or wherever it was. And now there's a lot more, and you just go where the audience is also. And the audience is watching more stand-up on social media and on YouTube. And you just go where that is. Moth to flame.
Makes complete sense.
That's awesome.
Now, this is not only just a comedy show for you and for the crowd. Let's talk about the Patty Foundation again.
Yeah.
This is part of what makes this.
There's a charitable component to this whole thing.
Charitable component.
Not just me, the charity.
No, not just you. Me too.
Not your typical stand-up charity.
Right. No, so the proceeds are going to the Patty Foundation. a late friend of yours we talked about last time. Syracuse Pride is involved, and ACR Health. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I know Syracuse Pride in particular, and the guy who runs that, Jimmy, is a fantastic guy. He has been taking on Pride forever, and this year in particular, we know the lay of the land right now. Like, they're having a really hard time with Pride, and he told me there are corporations that funded last year that aren't funding this year because they're not being encouraged, or you could even say pressured, into helping this community, as well as he said that there are some that are afraid to help donate to Pride and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's just ridiculous. So we're going to send some of the money to Syracuse Pride. Some of the money is going to be going to the Patty Foundation, which again takes care of LGBTQ youths. And then the ACR Health just got on board. We're going to work with them also. They actually found out about us through this podcast the last time that I was on, and they literally have housing for kids that have been kicked out of their families and their homes just for being gay. And we're going to raise money to make them even gayer. We're going to make them... No, these kids...
thought we could pray the gay away. We're praying the gay back in.
We're praying them when they go... when Dragon Ball, when they go Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that. But,
that's great.
But we're going to... These kids...
Rainbows are just going to be emanating across town.
Everywhere.
Rainbows, man.
Everywhere. And you guys should definitely have Jimmy on. I'll connect you guys because he's great. And yeah, it's just... we're going to be able to send money to a place where this shouldn't even be a question anymore, that they need help and to be taken care of and celebrated and danced with and all those beautiful things. Yeah, so
let them live their lives.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's wonderful that you're including a charity and the Patty Foundation. Let's talk about Patty. He was a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
I want to bring it up again because I love this man, and I never met him.
Oh, my best friend in the whole wide world, Patrick Coghill. He, beautiful guy and very funny. He would have loved this. Huge nerd, huge Bills fan, film fanatic, and the sweetest, nicest guy and the meanest queen in the whole wide world. And he just cared so deeply about what he called his community. And I think... for a lot of people in that community, the LGBTQ, you have your group of people who are your people who love superhero stuff. You have that stuff, but sometimes also always feel like you don't have. And he just wanted to take care of these kids who were, through no fault of their own, having terrible circumstances put upon them. And so after he passed away, we had time to miss him. And then his boyfriend and I we reached a point where we were done missing him, and we always will miss him, but we wanted to have it be a more active thing. And I think that's why a lot of people do charities about people who have passed, because in this way you get to talk about them in the present.
Sure.
And so maybe it'd be the selfish thing for me. It might just be the selfish thing for me and Jake to want to talk about Pat and the current. Yeah, it's just this thing that we wanted to do to... if he was still here, he'd be doing exactly this. So that's just what we wanted to do. And yeah, it's been great. And it's a great part that this is already brought up the ACR Health, who have been boots on the ground doing this beforehand. I'm a new tourist to this community. And so I am so glad that there's people who are like, yeah, we've been fighting this fight for a while. We'd love to help out and stuff like that. So I would definitely say, I'm sure you guys will put links in. If you can't make the show, the Eventbrite has places to donate like $5, and your credits go into the special. And then I'm sure you guys can link ACR Health, Syracuse Pride, all these things. And yeah, it'll be, it's just places, if you can't make it, put that money there because we want to help these people out.
That's fantastic. I love it.
And this also allows me to do all the gay jokes that I want.
You get a free card. You're allowed to just gay it up.
I can't wait to see the comments that are like, that's not what this means.
Yeah. What are you doing? So let's talk about that's the charitable part of it. But where can people get? I know we're going to give away some tickets, but where can people get tickets to your show on April 12th at the McCarthy Mercantile?
It's on Eventbrite, and I would definitely say if you're thinking about going, grab tickets and pick a show. There's the 7 p.m. and the 9 p.m. show, and grab that just so we know how to seat the room. It's this beautiful open space, and if we see that there's 75 people at the first show, then we'll seat it a certain way. So definitely grab the tickets. It helps us out to organize it and how we go from there. But yeah, we have tickets for you guys to give away. But Eventbrite, I'm sure you guys will have a link on there.
Yep.
Yes,
Tickets, I think, are $8, comes to $10 with Eventbrite's cut. So very much for a beer.
That's beyond reasonable.
Yeah, and I think if you've never been to a recording, we talked about this last time, it's super fun. Anytime you guys watch a special and you're like, oh, I think it'd be fun to, what's that like to be there? It is super fun. And it's going to be just a great show.
You're the audience for a TV show, basically.
Yeah, it'll be super fun.
You're a part of it. And I was just talking about this, I think it was last week. It was last weekend or the weekend before. I went and saw Colin Jost at Cornell. And he had two other comedians open for him that are from SNL. And it was in Barton Hall. And if you're not familiar with Cornell University, Barton Hall is literally an airplane hangar that they turned into a venue. And I don't know how many people, probably 5,000 or more people. It was like a graduation.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, these guys are heavy hitters. They've been on SNL. I don't want to say they bombed, but there was just the whole time I was cringing because the jokes were funny, but no one was laughing. And so
the airplane hangar had bombing.
Yeah. So we left, and my friends were like, hey, Mike, like I'm the comedy whisperer all of a sudden. They're like, why do you think it wasn't going over? And I'm curious as to your opinion, or if you can back this up. I said, I think a lot that has to do with it is that it is so hard to translate comedy in a large venue. And I feel like I've heard big comedians like Kevin Hart and that are doing arenas, Dane Cook, that were, yeah, man, I actually wish I could go back to clubs. And you can't see faces. You can't, it just, I don't know how to explain it other than the jokes don't hit as like they do when you're in a smaller venue. Do you agree?
Dimitri Martin had a great line in one of his specials where he said, the best places for comedy are the worst for a fire. And it's 100% true. It's
amazing.
You want heavy curtains, you want frayed wire, you want a dark room with one exit, and the worst ones for a fire are the best rooms for comedy. The rooms that are really good, we call them kill boxes because it just, everything hits right. And I've been seeing all this stuff on the internet too of like healing sounds and frequencies and stuff like that. And I think it's similar for a comedy room of there is the right size. Shakespeare had that famous theater that he did in a certain shape so that the sound projected.
Sure.
Was it Black Box Theater or something like that?
No, I think it was like a hectagon, a black box theater.
I don't know. What's a Black Box Theater?
I like the idea of Shakespeare and all the actors are in turtlenecks.
I don't even know what a black box
and a black
theater is.
box
It just
theater.
sounded right.
No, he had this old, and it was a specific design, and so I think rooms have that. I think some comics are getting away from stadiums for their specials. I think if you can...
What a problem to have.
Exactly. But if you
away from
tour, and a lot of people want to see you, stadiums make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think and it was a college kids, right?
It was college kids, but here was the real rub. There was also older crowd and townies like myself. So it was like, how do you prepare for that? Because those are two completely different demographics.
I was going to say college kids I saw, I think we talked about this last time also. That's just going to be the name of this episode. I think we talked about this last time.
We talked about this.
But younger kids are getting their stand-up through social media, and a lot of that with the shorter clips, a lot of it is crowd work based.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so I particularly like crowd work. I'm good at it, and I enjoy doing it, especially because people like it, and I'm not burning material. And what that means is if you hear my joke once, and listen again, you'll like it. But it's not like a band where you come back a week later,
Sure.
We love that song, play it again. You want to hear a different bit. And so jokes have a different timestamp on them. And crowd work is great because you get to upload something, but you're not burning material. And if the younger crowd, when I did my show at the Utica College, I did mostly crowd work because that's what they were,
That's right.
what they're accustomed to.
Yeah.
And there was a time where stand-up was vaudeville, then Take My Wife Please, then we got into observational humor, then we have more stories. And so right now, it's just crowd work. It's a lot more crowd work and stuff like that. And so if you have a bigger space, it's a little bit harder to do that. If you're not doing that and you have a younger audience, they're like, why are you telling me about the breakup you had? That's not crowd work with me.
Yeah.
And just because there's people who are amazing improvisers, amazing sketch writers, it does not mean that they'll be good stand-ups. I'm a good stand-up, and I'm an okay improviser. I'm not a great sketch writer. Like, those things are, just because you can play bass guitar doesn't mean you can play piano.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah, I would have to see the show, but also everybody does bomb every once in a while, and that's nice.
I feel like I'm glad you said that because I feel like I'm the opposite. I think I'm
Never bomb.
No, God, no.
you.
I fucking bomb all the time. No, that is not. No.
You heard it here. Mike never bombs.
Ever.
When you go to his
Show.
next show, it won't be a bomb.
It'll be a fucking hoot.
It'll be great.
No, what I mean is I'm better at improv and writing sketch ideas and sketch. I'm good at stand-up, but I can't remember things. And so I enjoy the crowd work because, like you said, or like we were actually just talking about, you want to talk about feeling like you're part of something. The minute a comedian goes into crowd work, whether you know it or not, you love it because you know that it's off the cuff, and that's already funnier. And, and now you feel part of it. So I respect anyone that.
There is a level of it being extra impressive.
Yeah.
Because it's that.
I remember doing shows in New York City, and I tried to work with people, other comedians, where I was like, hey, I've got a show at this time. He's like, I got a show at this time. I'm like, what if we pay each other? I'll go in and we'll work it out where I heckle you, but you fucking bury me. And I was like, I can start a little side business. And it never took off, but it was for that reason, because
You wanted to be the professional, professional bad heckler.
This was also like 2004. Things
I
changed.
just want to see you try to claim that on your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Professional heckler. Where do I write off?
Sir, please leave.
Yeah. Out of here. All right. So Brian Enck, let's play a game. You wanted to play a game. Brian Enck, gotta say it one more time. His special, Letters Are Hard, the McCarthy Mercantile in downtown Syracuse, April 12th, 2 shoots, 7 and 9 p.m. Get your tickets at eventbrite.com. Brian Enck, I love you. So you said you wanted to play a game. What do you want to do? This is real.
Super love, and I don't know if it's a game, but it should be, which is just over and underrated.
Yes.
I think that there is a really good get to know you. And Matt, we met briefly, but I want to get to know you better.
That's perfect.
Over and underrated things, and I think that I want to see. I could definitely kick this off, and this is going to be a Syracuse specific one, and I might lose anybody who was thinking about getting a ticket. Straight slice cut pizza is not only wildly overrated, it is a abomination against humanity. I know we do it here, and every time it happens, I feel personally attacked. And I know it's only here.
You're saying as opposed to like the traditional triangle cut. Yeah.
Pink.
Yeah. That's what makes it pizza.
I didn't want pizza breadsticks. Places do this.
Who came up with that?
I feel like it's a thing of, hey, Rochester's got garbage plates. Buffalo's got their wings.
What do we
Syracuse.
have?
We have a lot of things.
See, I remember when I was a kid, that was not the way to go. But if you wanted, like you're having a lot of people, you could ask for it party cut.
That's right.
And that was the idea for smaller pieces where you got hundreds of people, whatever.
Yeah.
An option.
Yeah, and it was
usually for
by far
sheets.
never the default.
No.
You know?
I've said this, and we probably.
And now you have to select an option if you want it. Why?
For me, listen, I consider myself a pizza connoisseur. I almost said penis connoisseur, which would have been hilarious. But
It could be both.
I can do both. I like a little sausage on my pizza. Anyway, we'll cut that part. I judge a good pizza by this. It's got to be triangular, okay? It's got to have the triangle. When you fold it, the crust doesn't have to, but bonus points if it cracks, and if you can get grease down your arm, it is the absolute perfect pizza piece of pizza. Yeah, I'm not down with that.
You can't do that
With the
strip.
No.
I wonder if original pizza out of Italy might have that cut. They call it like the grandma slices or closer to like a Sicilian.
Like a toasty, like what's the French?
Yeah.
Even if they did, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Even if they did, they were wrong.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, wrestling was invented in Greece, but we perfected it here in America with the WWE. I mean, like, pizza, So that's definitely not only a under or overrated, it is an abomination.
I've heard
I'm with you.
overseas, there is a real deal battle going on where Greece claims they invented pizza, not Italy. And there's some proof behind that. It's
I like that.
worth
That's what you classify as the battle
Here's
overseas. You're like, I don't know if you guys know, there's a fight. There's a war.
Here's a hot
on.
take. Ours is better than both.
Don't worry about Gaza.
I was like, we could donate money to Ukraine too. Like, you're like, actually, Greece needs your support. They think they invented pizza.
Ukrainian pizza sucks.
China invented pasta and noodles. I know that's a big take also, and I know you guys probably have a big Italian.
There's actually, you want to talk about relevant to New York? There's been a good. There's been a real argument that the ice cream sundae was created in Ithaca, and I forget who they're arguing with. Some other town in America that claims no.
They were the first one to throw chocolate on their boring ass vanilla ice cream.
Look,
they were also early for integration. Also, that might have been. Okay, wait. Another actually, you do an over underrated.
Me?
Yeah.
What about the video games?
Yeah, we could do video games. Do you have a video game that's either overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna see. We're gonna be fucking hate mail now. I'm sorry. I don't understand the Fortnite or the Minecraft.
You're too old.
I think that's more of an age thing.
It's a kid's thing.
All right.
It might be a kid's thing, but wait. Let's take that out of it. I do think that if we're looking at a game critically, Fortnite, I think, can be qualified as overrated. I think Minecraft is a building simulator, so that's just different.
Sure.
But Fortnite was Pog? What's that called? It's a drop-in game, and I think that's not a super creative mechanic. And at the end of the day, nothing's changing in that gameplay. They're just throwing skins on it. So I think you can argue that is overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I've got a bunch. I'm thinking.
Wait, I got a game that's underrated. Star Wars Outlaws. It had a terrible release. It had a terrible first couple days, but I played it. And my brother put it perfectly because they dropped the price to $30, $40. He goes, it's a great $30 game. And so I played it. I really enjoyed it. It is Red Dead Redemption meets Star Wars.
I love it.
And not to the quality of Red Dead, but it's it was definitely an underrated game.
Yeah. I'm going to go underrated with Star Fox. Do you remember Star Fox?
Yeah.
That is a game that was phenomenal, never talked about enough. The characters were great. The action was great. Big fan of Star Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox is great.
Yeah. I could go on. I have a whole list. I'm ready.
We just lost our entire female audience.
Hi, we're virgins. No. I could do so many.
Ready for under left field? Wait, Matt, do you have an underrated, overrated?
I don't have a great one yet, so go for it.
I have a underrated. People are gonna be like, oh, he has ADHD and autism. I think trains are underrated. Trains are super underrated. I go down to New York City all the time. I take the train. I don't have to drive. I get to sit and sleep and relax, and it's great. And I think trains are awesome. And I'll even argue trains beat planes sometimes because the amount of time you got to wait in security and wait for your flight because you could just waltz onto a train. You could moonwalk onto it and then just start headed to where you got to go.
What's your favorite part of the train?
My favorite, now we're getting really
like the upholstery.
I don't know enough about trains.
All right, you pass.
Christmas, I almost get a train set to go around the Christmas tree, and I don't. But I think trains are super underrated, and they're a great way to travel.
So we're not doing video games now. We're just doing things that are underrated?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we can go back to video games.
No, it's a curveball. I'm ready. Shit, underrated, overrated. We're on to trains. Matt, what do you got? Listen, Matt. Remember
You guys prepared
go
for this,
video-
and I didn't pay attention.
We did go video
so-
games to trains
we did.
real
Video
quick.
games to trains. All the things ladies love. Matt's going through. Remember that urban legend where you're like, oh, remember my friend? We heard he drank a glass of, or he took a hit of acid, or he smoked too much weed, and now he thinks he's a glass of orange juice.
No, we didn't grow up in Ithaca.
Oh, neither did I. I grew up in Herkimer. But anyway, that's Matt right now. He just got back from Vegas, and he's still not the same.
I'm in another time zone.
You are still in
Yeah.
another time zone, so I can tell he's trying to do overrated, underrated, but he's just.
All right, here you go.
Barely.
I will, on that topic, since it's top of mind, I will give you one of the most underrated things in Las Vegas if you want to visit.
Ooh, there
and
we
it's
go.
and I'm representing with this shirt here. I went to this place called the Pinball Hall of Fame. All right. It's like an airplane hangar
I'm just writing down a charity for autism.
full
that we
of
need to also donate
video
to.
games of mostly pinball going back to the 70s. Here's what's great about it. Everywhere in Vegas, it is nonstop harassing you about you got to pay a massive ticket price to walk in the door. And then once you do that, there's 10 assholes who like mob you and try to sell you everything from show tickets to timeshares, and it's infuriating. Pinball Hall of Fame, none of that nonsense.
Yeah.
No admission. You walk in. It is literally like an old school arcade. You put your money in the change machine and get a handful of quarters, and you just go to town. And I played some pinball machines from well before I was born that I never have even seen before when they're in operation from the 60s and 70s. They had, you want to talk about underrated or overrated video games, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, when the old school arcade version, they had a wide variety of arcade games, claw machines. Like, it was the one place that my wife and I went, and we spent multiple hours and $25. It was
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
the only place you could say that anywhere in Las Vegas. So
And it's definitely underrated because I've never had anyone come
It's on
back
the
from
strip.
Vegas and be like, dude, the pinball
Yeah.
was awesome.
best thing especially if you're prone to losing all your money in the arcade or the slot machines.
Yeah.
I like the
At
idea
least
that
play a game that you can have some fun with.
there's people who go to the pinball museum and they come back and they're like, how was Vegas? I got a rash. They're like, yeah, you did, you naughty boy. They're like, yeah, one of the machines had a little thing on it, so I have this rash now.
Yeah. My wrist hurts. Oh, whoa.
Woo.
No, just from
I didn't wear my brace, and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
playing too much gamage. Okay, so yeah, if you're going to Vegas,
Yeah.
pinball, I would 100% go to that.
It's
sign me up.
it's incredible.
Oh, wait, I got one here. Overrated, new Godzilla movies.
Oh, yes.
Super underrated, the 2000 Godzilla movie. With Matthew, was it Matthew Broderick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I was at the right age for it. I feel like that was a great Godzilla movie, and I thought it was super interesting. And you can argue with me, everyone does.
I agree with you. And one thing that pisses me off in that world is when I was growing up, everybody was Batman. I'm a Superman guy. Superman was my first love, my first superhero love. Other than the Superman 1 through 5 there in the 80s, those were great. But I'm talking about a new age Superman movie. They've all shit the bed.
What about the
Why
show?
can't anybody step up and just create?
Remember the show in the 90s with Dean Cain?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Not a fan. Although I did hear what was the one about Superboy that was like pretty big? About
The new
10
Superman movie, James Gunn's going to be awesome.
Is it?
It's going to be awesome.
I'm praying that we finally get a decent Superman movie.
James Gunn's fantastic at creating those types of universes, and I think that I was just talking about this with a buddy of mine. It's amazing that DC makes such bad superhero movies when their animated series and their video games are so story rich and so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think you guys have a huge audience that's the CEOs of the DC universe. And so they should just take that stuff and just put it into film format, and it would be great. Batman animated series, there's another underrated. That's one of the best superhero shows ever.
That was the most. I was a little kid, and I'd get home from school, and I'd sit down and watch it. It was the most serious cartoon I think had ever
They
been
did a
created.
documentary about it, and it was on purpose. They said that they wanted to make a dark and challenging they wanted to talk to kids like adults and not in a gross way, but they're like, yeah, we're gonna talk to you guys and you're gonna empathize with some of these villains and you're going to see the challenges that Batman is facing with his life and stuff like that.
Superman's going to get
wild.
his taxes done.
I think it's
just boring.
Write a letter.
I think that's great. It's something that's underrated because you're absolutely right. It was
So good.
mind blowing. Absolutely nothing like it. I'm not even sure since there's really been anything quite like that.
No, there hasn't been.
And then to contrast the original, you think about the original Batman with the with Adam West, that 60s live action thing that was so over the top cheesy.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a place for that.
No, and it was great
Yeah.
to go from that's so into basically a serious.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost manga. Or before that was even really a thing, I feel like to some
They
degree.
printed everything on black paper. All the animation was done on black paper. The creators specifically wanted to make stuff where you empathized with so many of the characters. It wasn't zany or silly. And what's funny is on the same budget was Animaniacs, the complete opposite, which is so funny.
And they played back to back.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Okay. After that, now it's jumping around the Warner lot with the crazy anime. Yeah.
What a great show.
They rebooted it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What is it on?
Hulu.
All right.
All right. Give me a over under.
Oh, over under. Okay. Are just any topic, or are we on
Anything.
Anything. Okay. I wish I had prepared for this. Okay. Over under. I'm going to say right now there is a craze going on, and it is called water bottles. And I think it is completely overrated. We are getting into stylish water bottles, Owalas, Stanleys, the designs. It's too much. All right, just throw some water in a goddamn thing, sip it, and call it a day.
You seen that SNL bit, the big dumb cup?
No.
It's phenomenal.
Sounds exactly
Just a
like
bunch
what
of
I'm
white
talking
girls
about.
with the big dumb cup.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant Stanleys. Yeah.
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 Like my wife's on the sideline of like my daughter's lacrosse game, and she's like, "Good job, honey." You know what I mean? She looks like a complete asshat. These things are so big.
That was impressive.
By the way, thank you. I've
You're
been
so
working on it.
strong.
I didn't think
Yeah,
it was
know.
that strong.
No, but that's the other thing too. Is it's like the people that are designing these. It's like they're like, all right, I want to design a water bottle that's not going to fit in any cup holders in any car in
Yeah.
America. And I've had it. This is more me venting than overrated.
Can also be used as a weapon.
It could be used.
This one that I have is really cool.
that's nice.
No, so it's the bottom of my water bottle. It's a coffee mug, and then you twist it on, and it just goes into
Nice.
the water. I like that a lot. But yeah,
I can think of so many better over-unders, and I'm blanking today.
See, I just don't understand how folks keep track of those, because the reason that I use the disposable cups is because I am famous for setting my cup down and it disappearing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many hundreds of regular insulated reusable cups that are off in the world somewhere.
100%.
I like these also because I sip slowly, and so it's nice to come back to it in an hour and it's still warm.
Yeah, that
That's
is the real advantage.
That's the key.
Wait, speaking of which, this segues perfectly. Super underrated, really good coffee. Super overrated, really good wine.
Okay.
Yes.
I think really good coffee is such a, to me, that's the one where I can tell the difference between crap coffee and good coffee. And I think especially in the morning when you need it, really good coffee is worth it. We have a coffee maker at our house where it grinds, you put the beans in, and then it automatically in the morning will grind and pour, and I wake up with fresh coffee, and that's my favorite thing in the world. And really good wine, I can't tell the difference.
No, I'll agree.
Damn, Jimmy.
I'll agree. If we did a blind taste
good-ass
test, I
coffee.
guarantee one of us, if not all of us, could sip up a $200 bottle of wine and an $8 bottle of wine, and some of us would go, I like the $8 wine better. But if you
100%.
sip bad coffee, you're like, this is shit. For some reason,
Totally agree.
it's easy to mask it with.
And not that there isn't a place for really good wine that's got a great story, that has a wonderful vineyard, but at the end of the day, I think there's too much emphasis on good wine and not enough emphasis on really good coffee.
Underrated wine hangovers. Those are bitches.
Those are awful.
Because it's sugar It's all of it. I've got an overrated.
Oh.
I know we're going on long, but I can't help it because I finally figured out one. Okay. Overrated for me. Every summer, my family and my in-laws, we go to a different beach. Beach vacations. I'm not shitting on them. I just think it's overrated. Because for the next year and a half, I'm finding sand in my ass crack, my shoes, my phone case. Don't get me wrong. When I'm there, I'm happy. It's fine.
You heard it here first. Mike doesn't shower.
I don't. And why do that when you can shower in the ocean? No, I just think it's fine. But it's by day 2, I'm good. We don't need to go down every day. So I'm happy with a lake. I'm happy with an ocean.
I thought I was the only one that felt
I just think beach vacations are just a little bit overrated.
And you're going to think that I'm making this up? My last underrated do nothing days and vacations versus packed vacations of every day got to do something.
I would date you if I was gay because we would hit it off on vacation. There's nothing worse than going on vacation. It's like, okay, so we're gonna go do the sailboat tour at 8, and then we're gonna head over here and no. When people say what I would kill for a day off, I'm like, fuck that. I would kill for a day off with nothing planned.
Nothing planned.
That's where I'm at right now. So
what would you do with $1 million? I tell you what I'd do, man. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
You're completely correct because I just did that. Like I went away for the weekend, and I'm glad I did. It was nice to get away from things.
Yeah.
But I was telling you, like I can't say that I necessarily relaxed because we had lots of things, and I wanted to. It was like I said, it was great. We had a good time, but still beat.
And it's fun to go do like we go to India once a year and visit my wife's family, and that's super fun. There is days where we go do a lot, and then there's days where we just sit around and do nothing. And it's great. It was hilarious. We went to a resort for the first time and watching my mother-in-law and my aunt-in-law, who are just women who just always have to be doing something, be so uncomfortable at a resort. They were like, what do we do? We're like, you just sit here.
You just sit.
And they're like, we don't cook anything or do anything? I'm like, no, you just chill.
And that's the winning recipe because then the days where it's jam-packed, that's fine because there's also sprinkled in days with nothing.
Yep.
If you had a whole vacation of days with nothing, that would get redundant.
Yeah.
You had a whole vacation with days that are busy, like you said, you come back feeling like, I need a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no plans.
Yeah, no plans. No plans, Stan, call me. I haven't had a good overrated yet, but...
Plans, Stan.
No plans, Stan.
They call me.
They call me, believe it or not, and asshole. I want to give one good overrated, but I'm shit today.
I thought you did. Oh yeah, we did a lot of under, and actually
I did a lot of overrated. I sound like a curmudgeon.
I would say I like underrated conversations because I think it's hitting on. And I'm blanking. You guys are good news. Underrated good news. Overrated is.
It's so bad. Underrated. I gotta just think of one, and then we can move. Underrated. There's so many ways I can go on this.
I'll give you a 90s movie that's underrated.
Please.
Go.
Okay. Never saw it.
Go with Katie Holmes.
No.
Okay.
It was phenomenal.
I'll give you an underrated movie. Little Monsters with Fred Savage. Fantastic. Or how about That Thing You Do? I love That Thing You Do.
That's
Fried Green Tomatoes. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I don't know if I'd call it underrated. That's supposed to be like a classic.
Fried Green Tomatoes?
No, it's underrated. The Godfather.
Yeah, that's true.
It just didn't get enough love.
Titanic. I don't know. I knew the ending.
Titanic sucks.
Fuck you.
I'm serious. He could have fit on that fucking plank. He could have fit.
You saw Mythbusters did it.
Could have
They
fit.
did? What did they come up with?
It was sinking. Because it wasn't it was like the specific type of door. It wasn't like a big door. It was more of a door frame with a little bit of door. And there was just no way to get two people on it. It wasn't the width. It was the buoyancy of it.
They could have just given him a couch cushion or some shit. Come on.
Look.
I understand the dramatics of a movie,
now
but
going back and armchairing like these movies, like there's one for Home Alone now where they're like, I forget what it was, but they're basically like, Kevin could have just called the police and then there would have been no movie, We're like,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
That's
What
overrated.
kid's gonna do that?
That's overrated. I don't like this new trend of the movie could have been done with, or there's this thing of, I've seen ones too where they're like, there's this theory that the show's actually the dream of the. You're like, could you find a more boring way to take a story? And I like some fan fiction and things that are stuff like that, but there's these ones where it's like, actually, it's this.
I was going to say, once in a while, there's a good one. Rarely, but once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an interesting way of looking at something that you've always known, but people, I think.
I like the one about Carl Winslow that takes it through.
Now you're speaking my
He's a cop who shot somebody in Die Hard, and it takes him through the whole story. And
about how the character goes through different.
Oh, from all the movies
That's
to everything.
The new thing
Yeah.
I'm seeing on social media.
Yeah.
They're doing it with.
And a lot of times they're really dumb, but the one with him that takes him through from Die Hard to Family Matters is actually pretty damn good.
Steve Buscemi, like through Billy Madison, and then.
Oh, right.
That's a new thing that's going on. I like it, but it's fun. It's a stretch, but it's fun.
I always forget. All right, we're running out of time, but
Well, we can edit this.
I'll give you the last one. It's for something for underrated.
Okay.
Steve Buscemi in The Sopranos.
Okay.
I think he's one of the ones that half the time when you think about the cast and all that, people even sometimes forget that he was, because obviously he wasn't there the whole time.
Yeah.
But he was epic. And the fact that he goes from all these other crazy roles and he fit right in with these straight out of Jersey Italian guys with no problem, I think was incredible.
No, he was great.
He did a great
Sopranos
job.
Is one of the greatest shows.
I bet you that's what got him Boardwalk Empire, which is another great underrated.
Just gonna say, I think that's
really
how
good.
he got Boardwalk Empire, 100%, because
Yeah.
he showed his versatility in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
What an amazing fucking show. By the way, did you know Steve Buscemi was a fireman before
Yeah.
he was an actor, which I think is
He
awesome.
I think was in New York City helping on 9/11.
Yeah,
Yes, he was.
helped.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
To go back to Titanic too. I also like, and we're doing fan theories. I like the idea of Jack does survive on the door, and they make it to America, and they realize that they are not compatible, and they're a terrible marriage. Like, I love that idea of they are just gonna get married because they went through that traumatic experience. And then they're together, and then by the end, he's just, I wish I died on that door, because this is they would have built the whole marriage around that.
That's hilarious.
See, it'd be a much shorter movie, but I was going to say they get to the shore and there's her boyfriend.
Oh, that's funny.
And then he kills him. He shoots
Womp
him.
womp.
They survive, and then he just
I saved you for all this, you know?
suicide.
And she's like, oh, bye.
Man, I remember there was a drinking game you could play with Titanic.
They should make a sequel where the boat rises.
Yeah, but it's a true
They did
story.
make a sequel. It's a submarine went down to go find it,
It was a bunch of bored billionaires.
and they imploded.
Yeah. It was a short film.
It was a very short film.
It was at Cannes, I believe.
Oh, and if you're mad, I'm sorry that those billionaires died after every expert told them to not do it.
Who would have thought that the N64 controller wouldn't work properly? Come on. Look, we're not heartless.
Underrated.
It's not like we're sitting here going, oh, overrated, the SPCA.
Underrated,
It's
the
like-
N64 controller.
We're not.
Look at me. Underrated, the N64 controller. It gets so much shit. It actually had an interesting dynamic, and it pushed the boundaries. So don't listen to him. April 12th, McCarthy Mercantile. I will go in depth.
And if you bring an N64 controller, we hook it up to Brian, and you can operate
You can operate me.
live. So if you
And it probably wouldn't work out well because the controller is a little wonky.
wonky, ask the guys in the sub.
You just don't know where to hold it.
Yeah. The N64 controller was pretty fucking revolutionary at the time.
It was great for like GoldenEye because you had the
Yes.
trigger.
Nothing
Can't
beats
use
Bond,
Odd
man.
Because he's too short. I'm a living odd job.
That's for damn sure.
You know this.
And on that note,
Yeah, listen, this has been ridiculous, and I love every minute of it. Brian Enck, our pal, our first repeat guest.
Yeah.
Is shooting his special. Letters are hard, which is very true. April 12th, right here in Syracuse, McCarthy Mercantile. Get your tickets, eventbrite.com. There's two shows on April 12th, 7 p.m., 9 p.m., so you have two chances. Go to both. Why not?
And you guys are going to have 10 tickets to give away. I don't know how you're doing it.
Tickets to give away, which we're going to post and
We'll talk to you about that in a
We'll talk to you about that. Proceeds are going to the Patty Foundation, Syracuse Pride, and ACR Health. Brian Enck, I freaking love you, man.
Yeah.
This was awesome, man.
Good News York.
I can reach.
And we will be back tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. Hey, subscribe to our podcast.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Everywhere you find podcasts. I don't even need to plug a particular place. If you're a podcast guy or gal, go whatever app you use and type in Good News York.
Like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple.
Yes.
That's right. I forgot. We're official now. We're on there.
You're
And, of
saying
course,
where I
YouTube,
listen
where
to
you can watch
podcasts,
this, but-
I could listen no matter where I listen to my podcast?
That's it. You can subscribe, and your phone will download us on the go, and we can just be in your ears all the time.
We want to be in your ear holes.
Good News York.
Good Lord.
What in the fuck?
Peace out.